evening. Dzrj810am, the voice of the Philippines, proudly brings you the Animal Chronicles with Ana Cabrera. Learn about animal welfare and how you can be an advocate. And now, here's your host, Ana Cabrera.
Good evening. Welcome to the Animal Chronicles. I'd like to apologize way in advance if I sound a little bit hoarse and if I would occasionally be coughing because it's the weather in Samar. We just came from Samar for an outreach project, and it was a very, very successful project. About 97 dogs neutered, and there were some cats too. And I'd like to extend my congratulations to the whole PAWS, Spay, Neuter, and Humane Education team led by Dr. Wilford Almoro and Dr. Maripide Diaz, and our two volunteers who went with them, Lian Ascalon and John Tangqueco. Of course, our caretakers, Kevin and Onyok, were there with them. And this brave group endured 40 hours of travel by land, and they went on RORO, that's roll on, roll off, and they had to bring the spay-neuter mobile clinic with them. And some of the roads were not as paved, not paved at all. So they had a very tough time just getting to their destination. So kudos to the team. They went there, and when they got there, they spayed and neutered animals all the way up to 10 p.m. every night. We visited them midweek last week start of the week last week because the mayor was there, Mayor Carpio, very supportive. Governor Daza even made it to the inauguration of an animal birth control center, and this is an amazing project because you never hear of an animal birth control center being put up in a municipality or a city, and the only one I know is in Cebu City. And the reason why they put it up because there was funding from and some support from the Humane Society International for the spay-neuter, and for a small municipality of Catarman in northern Samar to be putting up an animal birth control center led by their municipal vet, Doc Chari. It's really a groundbreaking thing. And we salute everyone from the LGU officials, the provincial vet, the municipal vet, for coming up with this project and helping extend not just free rabies vaccine to the people of Samar, but also beginning to offer spay-neuter, which is very important in order to cut down the number of animals that are being born into this world and then they don't have homes. So, and one thing we noticed about people in Samar, they're not very rich. You can see that they have very modest means of living from day to day. But the ones who brought their dogs with us really love their dogs. They would, bring them in tricycles and their pedicabs, and then when they presented their animals to us, they had names, and one named her dogs after beauty queens. We had Venus and Shamsi. So when they talked about them, they really it was apparent that they really love the animals. And so it was amazing that people who have so little gave so much to their animals. And I guess to that, hats off to all the good townspeople of Samar, everyone who welcomed us, everyone who, some of them were so thankful, and they didn't know that we were already our food was already being shouldered by the mayor, and he was feeding us like lunch, dinner, merienda, and the people there still brought over some merienda just to show how they appreciated the PAWS team coming over. And so while everyone was thanking us left and right about being there and for spaying and neutering their animals, we from PAWS really are amazed at the people and at the warmth and the kindness of everyone who welcomed us in Samar. So thank you from the PAWS team to everyone. And the good news is 97 animals, did I just mention that, got spayed and neutered. And the concept is so new. People who brought their dogs thought like they would bring their dogs at 10 a.m. and then say that they'll just grab lunch. And when they came back after an hour, they said, "Is my dog done?" But they actually think that it's just a minor vaccination, but they didn't know that they were falling in line for a major surgery. So we had to explain that when you're in line and each animal has to spend about 10 minutes for the anesthesia before it can be knocked down, and then another 10 minutes being prepped, and then the actual operation being about 20 minutes, an average of 20 minutes for females, and slightly less for males. So some of them came and didn't expect it to be this long, so we had to do a whole lot of explaining to the people. So we're looking forward to more spay and neuter projects in communities. It's just that we have to mention that PAWS was able to go to Samar because part of the cost of being there, of going there, was shouldered by Beth Sizemore of Salamat Animal Shelter. And so they're in Catbalogan. So after doing the animals of Salamat Animal Shelter, we went over to the neighboring Katarman, and we did some animals there. And this was the PAWS project, because it was just like we traveled 40 hours, so we might as well do the other animals in the neighboring communities. And it was a very, very good experience. And we've heard that some of the nearby mayors of the nearby towns are now, they're going to ask us to, so we'll evaluate that, because we also have our own shelter. We have only one vet, and Doc Will was so missed by his clinic clients that a lot of them lined up today, and thankfully we finished at 8 o'clock. Okay, there now the cough's there, and it's me and the summer trip, but everything was worth it. Thank you to Leanne, thank you to John, Doc Will, Doc Murphy, fantastic job, congratulations. And speaking of amazing, fantastic people, I have one such person beside me here today. I'm so and I'm so pleased that she said yes to guesting on my show. And I've met her like only twice, right, Carla?
Twice or three times?
Three times, yeah. Oh, yeah, because you went to our Aspen Club launch, and when this girl came over, of course we were excited because she was with her famous famous boyfriend, but she is actually also an international actress of kitchen musical fame, and I do watch the show, although I didn't get to that part. Were you in second season or no second season yet?
Not yet.
But I didn't get that part where Christian had to leave the restaurant and went over, so didn't get. I watched the taped version, so
that's all right.
Okay, so my lovely guest for tonight is Miss Carla. You just taught me how to say it.
First blunder of the day.
Oh my goodness.
It's okay, you can do it. Come on, we'll try a few times. You have 3 chances.
Okay,
go.
Dunariano.
Close. You want to do one more?
All right.
Dum 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 dum.
Dunariano. Jeez. Okay, I
one
give
last
up.
chance.
Oh, can I give up now?
Dunariano. Close enough.
Okay, great. So, Carla D.
Yes.
Lovely Carla D.
Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Yes, thank you for being here.
I have never done a radio guesting that is entirely for animals.
Yes.
I feel like I should have brought my Charlie.
Oh, yeah, actually, you are allowed to bring animals.
Well,
on
you
your
didn't
show.
tell me that
I'm
in the
so
beginning.
sorry.
I would have brought Charlie in. She'd just be running all over the table, though. But she's a bit noisy, so
Oh.
I don't think we'd get any words in.
She looks so very well behaved in the photos.
Yes, it's very much like me, looks are deceiving.
Yeah, okay, we posted the picture of you and Charlie on the PAWS Facebook account as, this is traditional, like since this is our show, this is technically the PAWS show on Dzrj810am. We post and we invite people who love animals, and you fit the bill right down to a T, because the minute you went to the animal shelter, you expressed your love and what you wanted to do more for the animals. So tell me how that went. We get a call, and then suddenly,
an anonymous. Let's name him Anonymous X.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was here. I think this was still the time that I was on holiday. Still very much on holiday here. And I've been very active in the SPCA in Singapore, which is also very much like PAWS. So when I heard about PAWS, Kara, I had to go. I want to see what I can do. So yeah, call up the shelter, see if we can go. I didn't expect a full tour of the shelter, like red carpet and all. Not quite, but yeah, thank you so much. It's a lovely, cozy environment, and you can tell that the volunteers really want to be there. They're not like hands tied behind their back. It's like, no, you have to work. You got to walk the dogs and clean the poop. No, it's more out of doing something for others.
Yeah, and we have volunteers, and like the ones that went with us to Samar, two of them volunteers actually gave up like their jobs just to go all the way 40-hour road trip just to get there. So
40 hour.
Yes. But when I met you at the shelter during your first visit, you said that you were more of a dog person. So imagine my surprise that you adopted a cat suddenly.
Well, you know what? I think it's also scheduling issues. I'm not at home for hours on end. I have time in the morning and time in the evening and night. But during the day, I'm out mostly. So having a dog, I think, is really selfish. As much as I would love to have one, I think if I can't commit enough time for the dog, it's just not fair.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm one of those that don't have a dog in PAWS, and people always express surprise like, oh, you're the executive director, you don't have a dog. My schedule's so crazy. But cats are like, they're fine, they see you, okay, off you go.
Yeah, they're just like, when are you leaving? Hello, are you gonna give me my treat? Okay, get out of the way, you're blocking my view. So Charlie loves having the run of the house though. And yes, Charlie is the little kitten that I adopted about a month and a half back.
Why? How did this come about?
Oh my goodness. Like many things in my life, they fall into my lap and are completely random and unplanned.
Okay.
It was actually, I was walking for dinner near my place, which shall be unnamed.
Okay.
And I happened to see this little kitten on the road, and it was there with these 3 other adult cats. Now the adult cats seem pretty fed, chubby.
On the road?
On the road.
Or in the middle of the road?
No, not in the middle of the road.
Okay.
On the sidewalk. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and they were so friendly. They all came up to me. I was petting them, and ladies and gentlemen, if you want to pet animals, make sure you wash your hands before you have dinner after that. Okay, which is what I had to do. But yeah, so they were really sweet, and I said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go for dinner. We'll see if they're still here when I come back. Lo and behold, they were still there.
Okay.
So I went back, and then I was kind of thinking, I would love to take all of them if I could, but 3 adult cats, I think they're kind of set in their ways already. But there was a small, scrawny little dingy kitten there, and I said, wow, he looks kind of sad, really skinny and dirty and full of fleas. So I picked up the kitten, wrapped it in my jacket, took it home. The security guards were not too pleased. They were like, what is that noise? I'm trying to hide a cat in my jacket. Took it home, gave it a shower, and it turned out to be a beautiful little kitten, which was pretty white, which you couldn't really tell when you see it at the road.
She's a tricolor. She had
tricolor. And I didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. Of course, I don't know how to tell cats. That's one thing I can't do. So I aptly named the cat Charlie in the event that it was a boy or a girl.
Okay.
Next day,
Smart.
took her to the vet. Turned out to be a girl, and I said, okay, well, the name Charlie's staying. But the vet gave her a clean bill of health and said, yeah, no problem. She's a happy, healthy kitten. You can take her home. And that was it.
Didn't even do anything to the kitten, like no deworming or anything.
Oh yeah, of course. We
the usual.
Yeah, we did the usual. So now she's had all her shots done already. She hates the vet. She is probably the noisiest animal, and I say animal, not cat. Noisiest animal at a vet. Because I'm sitting in the waiting room and I can hear her, and it takes 3 people to hold her down to file her nails. That's how much of a prissy girl she is. So she's screaming like all hell, and everyone's just like, wow, this is such a small animal and it's making so much noise. I'm like, yeah, she gets it from me. But yeah, match made in heaven. I love her.
Yeah. And then this thing, like you go here and then suddenly you have like a cat with sudden cat. Is this a sign that you're staying here?
Well, you know what?
We hope so.
I just you gotta do the will of God. That's what I always say. So if God brought me here just for a season, then it's gonna be for a season. But if it's here for a long period of time, then we'll see. But because I knew my stay here it's not concrete yet, so of course I had to make plans to, if I ever do leave, who's going to look after Charlie, or am I going to take her with me and all that. So she comes first.
Okay, that's good to know. That's what we always ask, like all our adoptive applicants when they come in, and most of them are really people from other countries that have taken root here and maybe doing like project for like their expats with projects of either international school or some multinational company with but we have to ask them if they're leaving, what are the plans, because sometimes there are some people like I think it's Canada that's really expensive to take the cat back to them, but
I can imagine.
Yeah, but Singapore is like, it's just neighboring Asian country, so that's okay. And we do have a good relationship with the Singapore SPCA. If you were volunteering at the time, the executive director Dzrj810am,
I think I met her.
Yeah, very nice lady. So and very nice campaigns too.
Yes,
I see their campaigns on spay neuter. Very creative.
Their facility is very nice as well, and I think they have so many donations coming in left, right, and center that they really get to improve their sites often, which is great for the well-being of the animals.
I saw. We were able to go there because Asia for Animals was held in Singapore about a year and a half ago, and part of the tour was going to Singapore SPCA. So a nice cat area. I hope that we would be able to do one at PAWS, like the drawings of cats on the walls.
It's just pretty, it livens the mood as opposed to what I always feel sad about is when I go to shelters and it looks like a prison.
Oh yeah.
And then I imagine myself, if I was an animal, I'd be really depressed staying here. Well, so if you change the atmosphere to the animal, it's like, oh wow, it just looks like someone's living room, but there's 50 other cats.
Yeah, we want to, like our dog areas, we eventually, like in the US, where I've seen some shelters, they actually look like rooms.
Yeah.
And then they have outdoor areas.
Because apparently, the more you familiarize these animals with, say, sofas and all that, the moment they go to someone else's home, they're going to feel accustomed already. They're not going to feel so jarred, like, wow, I went from cement floors to suddenly nice tiles.
Yes.
So they kind of ease in a lot quicker. So some of these catteries, they have cat walkways on the top. They have scratch poles. They make it look like someone's home.
Yes. Actually, we have all these grand plans when PAWS has a little bit more, because we're struggling from month to month just with our overhead costs.
Tell me about that. Tell me about that.
Wow. Who's being interviewed here? We have an overhead cost of about 200,000 pesos. So just feeding the cats and the dogs is taking a huge toll. Like, we have to think about it. The board has to think about it from month to month. So it is a struggle to constantly think of like how to enrich the lives of but good thing we have volunteers. And for the dogs, even if you see them in those kennels, they do get walked every day by most of our volunteers, except lately because it's been raining lately. No volunteer. Last Saturday was the only Saturday that we had just one volunteer. It was like a record of some sort, and so none of the dogs got walked. But even if they were there, they wouldn't be able to walk the dogs because really rain very.
They could go swimming.
Yeah. So yeah, and in Singapore, we know that there's another area, Mutts and Mittens.
Yep.
Yeah. Have you been there?
I haven't been there, but I've heard about that.
They have a pool for dogs.
If I'm not wrong, it's in Pasir Ris. It's like
the only one.
I
yeah.
think so. There are quite a lot of animal welfare societies in Singapore alone, which is I lose track because there's so many, but it's great. In Singapore, we have lots of strays as well, so anything to get them off the road, I think, is great.
I didn't see any strays.
Really?
Yes.
You must have gone to the fancy parts.
Really? Yeah, I mean, not here. When literally you would come across them everywhere when you go out. They're there, and so. Did you grow up in Singapore?
Well, most of my years was spent in Singapore, but I was born in Germany, and I lived there for 6 years. I moved to Australia to learn English for 2 years, and then I moved to Singapore when I was 8, and I've been living there for 13 years.
So you've traveled quite a lot.
Yeah.
Already. And have you had an opportunity to spend time with animals? I mean, I'm just trying to find out, like, how did this love of animals come about?
Well, I was born into a family which had dogs already. So the dogs were like my older brothers, which is great because I think a lot of people get the misperception that if you have dogs, the moment you have kids, you got to get rid of the dogs because of allergies, you're scared of this. But the more you expose yourself to these sort of things, the more you build up an immune system. So when I see people now that are allergic to cats or allergic to dogs, it's just because they're not exposed to it often.
And there is a study that backs that up. I've seen a lot of there was one that came out, like, if you want your child to be very, very, like, resistant to disease or being exposed to animals, not allergies, not develop any allergies, then expose them to the animals quite early.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yes, exactly. And right when we're getting interesting, we are being motioned to go on a break, and we are and we shall be back with Carla D. I'm just keeping it D. Carla D, who's an animal lover and one of the stars of the Kitchen Musical, and we will be chatting with her more on her love for animals here on the Animal Chronicles after this break.
This is an RJAM Extra.
How to deal with a runny nose. Is that runny nose bringing you down? With over-the-counter cold remedies and a few simple steps, stop to your problem. You will need decongestants, antihistamines, a box of tissues, saline nasal spray, vitamin C, and zinc. Optional: table salt,